Okay, so we're just gonna go in order that we completed these. Um, I didn't get my face on these. I don't really care. Nobody wants to see my face anyway, so I'm just gonna voice over everything. Um, this is the Theater Day Namur. They're in Capital City Namur. This is day one, scenario one. Again, we're just gonna go in order. The order that we completed them in, at least. It was not the same order for every team. Didn't have all 24 teams at this one site. They were split up across 4 different sites for this morning. We were told to go here first, so here we are. Right now, we're just standing around outside this beautiful building waiting for the organizers and the judges to be ready for us. They're inside of the theater, setting things up, double checking, make sure everything's safe and efficient. We will head back behind this van in a minute. There's an access door over there to go backstage and under the stage into the absolute dark, lit by maybe some glow sticks and like one headlamp. Um, we weren't allowed to do anything or turn on lamps until they said so, so it was pitch dark when we got our brief. Um, and yeah, anyway, super beautiful building. I'll show you pictures of the inside too. It's a pretty sick place. So here's the general seating. I guess the view from the stage perspective. This is just an incredible place to be able to do this stuff. It's one of the coolest things about taking these trips is just the stuff you're able to do and see, and then you get to go places that regular people don't get to go. So, like I said, this photo is taken from the stage, which even the rich people that would buy out these box seats or whatever wouldn't necessarily be able to go on stage like we're getting to do right here, and or backstage or under the stage and see how the sausage is made. But look at this ceiling, man, and this like crown molding and the chandelier. I always have this thought. My wife gets mad at me when I see stuff like this, and I'm like, man, somebody made that. Somebody built that. Somebody put that there, and it's just pretty awesome, especially in these old European places. I love it. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, so not the best photo to describe what we're actually doing down here, but you can kind of see we are under the stage. Here's like some par can storage right here, and then other various, you got some road cases down here. And then you can see these ropes right here. So this is Robert getting ready to go perform what we think is an easy rescue. We think they're throwing us a bone here. They had already taken Topley, our victim, off to wherever. Turns out he was just watching in the theater the whole time. Um, but we sent Robert to go be our big bad rescuer, and worst case, he's super strong dude. He can just muscle through whatever situation he gets into. Because they made him strip all of his gear. So all he has, which again you can't really tell, this is a very stylized photo here. But all he has is basic access kit. He's got ascenders, he's got a descender, cow's tails, and an ASAP, and that's it. You can see the red line right here. That was designated backup line. Your backup had to stay on that line. Both rescuers' backups. Um, so we think Topley's stuck up here. That means his ASAP would be on this red line, and the white would be his main line as well. Which, if you can't swap ropes, that makes passing your victim a fair amount more challenging, especially with limited equipment. So we were like, man, Robert can just muscle through this and he'll be fine. Turns out they threw us a curveball. Robert gets up there, gets in position, and there's no victim. He calls us on the radio and says, hey, fun turn of events here. I am now the victim, so you got to come get me. So everyone looks at me, and they're like, Kel, you're up. So great, awesome, I'm up now. I get to keep all of my shit. I have a ton of equipment on me, like we all like to carry. We're kind of walking gear caches. And this is a good example of why that's a good policy. And I end up using a lot of that stuff. So not only was this not as easy of a rescue as we thought, now it's Kel. I'm much smaller than Robert. Going to rescue Robert, who's, I don't know, probably 250 pounds to my like 180. So, which, whatever. It's not that big a deal. I've rescued bigger dudes. But I'll talk you through what that looks like in a second. But you can see the the rope's headed through this trap door. This is right beneath the stage and will ascend straight through the stage and up into the catwalk area. So you can see down here there is a set of knots. You can see it on my rope too, I guess, as well. So both of me and Robert both had to ascend through a set of knots. Isn't that big a deal? It's slightly more difficult if you can't change ropes, but my normal knot passing is doesn't involve that anyway. A lot of people climb that way. I don't, so it wasn't a big deal to me nor Robert. But I have gotten into position. I'm maybe 30 foot off of the stage floor here, and then you can get a really clear picture of these trapdoor holes that we had to ascend through. So none of these lights were on when we started this exercise. So when Robert went up, it was pitch black, completely dark. They let him turn his headlamp on once he was out of the hole, and then the same for me as well. And then once all of the competitors got up, I think there were 6 of us. Um, they didn't, or they turned all the lights on. So there's some team members, spectators down here. Our victim, our actual like victim, is down there. He didn't have to do anything. He was on a vacation most of the trip. And then you can see my team lead standing right here worrying about everything we're doing because it's pretty frustrating when you're on a team and they only give 2 guys an actual job. So this was a pretty interesting one. Normally the entire team is involved. So they're all just sitting here biting their nails and sweating for us. So I was under a lot of pressure right here, if I'm completely honest, and I've talked to a lot of people about this already. This was the first event on a massive stage, literal stage and figurative stage. This is GRIMP. This is, what most people think of as a Super Bowl of rope rescue, and this is my first one. I am super nervous. My stomach is churning real hard right here, and I get all of the pressure of being the only person who has any actual job right here. Robert can't do anything. He doesn't know anything, according to our judge, Patrice, right here. So, no pressure. It's all on my shoulders. No big deal. Anyways, go up through the knots, and you can see I get to keep all my gear. And Robert is in ascent. He's in his chest ascender. And then his backup is on the red line. You can kind of see it right there. It's a little blinded by his headlamp, and mine's right there too. So both of our backups are on the red line, and both of our main systems are on the white line. So I climbed up on um, my chest ascender, um, as opposed to climbing on a Taslov or ratting up or something. That'd be, at least ratting would be incredibly slow, and I didn't want to mess with the Taslov below his system because it can act a little squirrely sometimes. So I just went up on my chest ascender, and then I need to figure out, at least in my own mind, how to pass him. In retrospect, I didn't necessarily need to pass him, but I need to pick him off. So I put a handled ascender up here on a Grion just to suspend myself away from him a bit and give us a bit of working space here because with that tight rope, that white rope between our two systems, it's really difficult to pick him off. But this is just a decent perspective of what's going on in the top of this theater and another pretty cool photo in general. So here's a better shot of what was actually going on. Again, I guess kind of a low shutter speed setting. I'm sure the photographer had some difficulty with the lighting here because it was so either completely on, or completely off. That's a difficult job, but you can see most of what's happening right here. And I'm moving really fast, apparently, right? Look at the blur. Um, anyways, so I position myself in a way that I can move around a little more freely. So I put my Grion through hand descender up here, and that's just Robert's hand descender, um, so that I can kind of separate myself a bit and create some working space between us because there's a lot going on right here. And the more organized you can keep it, the better. Whenever I instruct my Sprite classes, everyone always tells, or I always tell everyone, like, clean your house over and over and over again because especially with all this stuff going on, it's really easy to get confused. The more organized you stay, the better. And I'm not even like a super organized person. If you saw me right now sitting in my office, you would see things everywhere. But that's the mark of genius, so they say. Um, Not that I'm calling myself a genius, but it's just a hopeful wish, I guess. Anyways, so they gave Robert this length of cord and then a quick draw with two lock and carabiners on it, and that was the specific equipment we were to use to make the pick. Um, and there's a few ways you can use this little length of cord, but I couldn't use the Grion to make a pick. I couldn't do a curl to curl bump or anything fancy or anything like that. I had to use this cord and I had to use that quick draw. The quick draw is pretty self-explanatory. I use one of those for rescue anyway. Um, we just needed to I needed to make the pick. So I tied this little cord here. After separating myself, everybody's got 2 points. He's still in his chest ascender for the record. So I tied this little cord here to the becket of his chest ascender. He's on the CT chest ascender, which has a relatively large becket on the top. And I just tied it on there, and then I'm going to redirect it through a carabiner in the bottom of this same uh, handle ascender that I am trapped in. And or that he's trapped in. I'm trapped in. We're both kind of trapped there. Anyways, and it's just the old fashioned days, like I carry this little length of cord down here on me because when I first learned Sprat, that's how we did pickoffs. But I found other auxiliary uses for that cordage. That's a tech cord for the record. But this is how we used to do pickoffs. You tie it on there, you make a little tiny 3-to-1, and then bring this back down and put it through your foot ascender, or put your hand ascender and foot tape on it. You step onto it, and I've got a 3-to-1, which I kind of needed because again, Robert's a big dude. He's quite a bit bigger than me, so I need some MA to help lift him. So I've got that short link to the spine of the carabiner on my descent control device, which is a Spark. And then I've got an extra cow's tail. So he's got 4 points on technically right now. And I'm going to start stripping them away. So I'm going to stand up. Again, this cord is in my foot ascender. I'm going to stand up in that. I'm going to stand fully up and down, like stand up. And then I'm going to reach down and pull Robert's scroll up the rope right here and collapse that MA system that I just made. It was an easy pick, honestly. I pop him out of that crawl, lower him right back down, super controlled, and sit him in that quick draw. Now, what you can see right here is that as soon as I sit him down in that, and then I sit back down, I cross load the shit out of the carabiner in that Spark. And Patrice, judge over here, was obviously staring at me. So again, talk about pressure. The judge is right here, like Robert's touching him. And he's just there was a judge staring at every competitor 4 feet away. No big deal. So I cross loaded the shit out of that carabiner and I couldn't really do a whole lot about it, not in the time that we had to complete this exercise. So I just played the game there, and I ate that. I ate those points, and I went down. I moved on. Whatever. Um, so pretty easy pick for the record. It wasn't that big a deal. I leave his ASAP on him and on that red line. My ASAP is on me and on that red line. So Robert's kind of got 3 points ish. We still only have 2 ropes, but he's got a long cowtail to me. He's got that quick draw, and then he also has that ASAP. There's no reason to take that off. I made sure that they both rolled, which is a good step to take before you descend in a pickoff. But anyways, there was no reason to take that off, so I just left it on there. It ended up saving me a step later, anyways. So here's a slightly clearer picture of me creating that space. You can see me suspended in my Grion right here. I keep a swivel on the ventral attachment point of my harness, again, just for mobility and for this case specifically. And then you can see that 3-to-1 that I've just peeled out of my foot ascender. So I've made this, or I'm about to. I think I'm about to make this pick right here. Yeah, this white rope is still definitely in its chest ascender. So I'm about to make this pick, but this is the little move I made. So just that rope tied in again to the back of his chest ascender, 3-to-1 through a couple carabiners, and then down to my foot ascender. I'll stand up and make that pick. Here are the meat and potatoes right here. This is the real hard part. Like the pickoff wasn't that big a deal. I train on that all the time. Whatever. It was a little squirrely not being able to swap lines, which is about to be a massive curveball for us right here. But you remember on the way up, had to pass a knot up on those ropes. So when we see knots in access lines, we're assuming there's damage. So it's a really good policy to leave them there and just pass them. we also are playing a game and we assume that we cannot take those out. That'd be, I did ask that question for the record because that'd be really silly to do this whole complicated rescue through knots and not just take the knot out. Obviously, we couldn't take them out. Those are the rules. We're playing a game. Um, Incredibly technical game, but you can see this really gnarly crossload right there. Obviously, not happy about that. Um, is what it is. Again, I ate it, and I'm in the process of fixing it all right here as soon as I pass this knot. So I made the call. It would have been a ton of work. I would have had to, repark him in some sort of lowerable system at the top of this to fix that cross load because I couldn't fix it with a two-person load on it. But it's cross-loaded pretty bad. So I'm sure we got some pretty decent dings for that in the point totals. Usually they give you a minor, a major, or some other multiplicative safety infraction. This was probably a major at most competitions. I don't know the scoring scale for GRIMPDay specifically by heart. This would probably be 10 points out of the possible 150, let's say. So not a major deal, but I mean, it is a major deduction. But anyways, this is a really good look at how I maneuver through this knot pass with a victim. Now, normally, what I would do is I would uh, normally there's knots in both ropes, so the red line is the backup line, and the white line right here is the main line. Normally, I would swap ropes, get past the knot, pretty easy fix. I take another descender, put it through his quick draw that's attached to him, and through my ventral attachment point, suspend us both in a new descender and put that red rope in that new descender, and then move ASAPs over to the white line and pass the knots easily with the ASAPs because they're not loaded. They're loose. I can move them. That's what I normally do. Couldn't do that this time. ASAPs had to stay on the red line, so it's a bit more of a thought experiment slash problem solving, which was really fun, honestly. I enjoy it. Despite how nervous I am. I almost threw up on Robert right here like 7 times. I'm not sure why I was so nervous. I think it was just because it was crazy that I was here at all, doing this thing. No pressure, just Kel doing a rescue, nobody else. So, and the judge is like right here, 6 feet away, watching my every move. So, lots of judgment. Anyways, the way I do this, I took my handle descender, put it on the main line, and I'm going to repark Robert in that. So I just went ahead and pre-built a 3-to-1 um, with my Grion, right? So this is my positioning device. It's releasable. I've got that in his sternal attachment point so that he stays upright and he can manage his own airway. Because you never know what they're going to throw at you again, and that's just good patient care. He could go and passive at any time, and then he can't maintain his own airway, so keeping him more upright is a better move. Um, so yeah, agree on, and then I'm using the CT Quick Roll right here, which has a tiny pulley on the back of it, which is absolutely meant for situations like this. So pretty easy, 2 pieces of kit, build me a tiny 3-to-1. I'm going to park Robert in that, and remember his ASAP right here is still on that red line. So I only had to make one change, right? So I'm going to load him up in that. I'm going to descend down a little bit and create some slack in that short link or that quick draw so that I could take it out. I'm managing the cowtail right now. So he had 2 points of attachment to me. Now he's got 2 points of attachments to 2 separate ropes on 2 separate anchors. That's how redundancy works. And I'm going to get away from him. I have to get away from him so that I can move myself without the weight of him in my system below this knot. So I'll peel his 2 attachment points off of me. I'll descend a bit, go into ascent above my descent control device, and then move my descent control device below the rope. I had to down climb a bit with my ascender, my chest ascender, to get close enough, but I'll move my descender below the rope. And then the tricky part here is I needed to make sure that this rope grab, this quick roll, was far enough away that I could gain some throw with it, that I could actually raise him, but not too far that I couldn't reach it by the time I made this move. And those are the thoughts that take experience to find out. Because when I come out of this and sit down here, this device will now be down here. If you can picture my head right here, obviously right now, by the time I make this move, it's going to be down here. So I need to be able to reach this again. That's the tricky part. So, anyways, I make that move. Descent control device down here, ASAP's never really moved at all. And then I don't have to pick him off again. I just lower him into me. I make those two connections. I use that quick draw, and then I get a cowtail out, and I make that connection again. So he's got two more to me. That makes four if you include these other two up here. And then I just lower him back into me on the Grion, so I didn't have to do another pick off. I didn't have to do another raise out of his chest ascender or something. So uh, that's that's the move I went with. There are probably 100 ways to do this. That's the way that I did it. You could tie knots, and I could get his descent control device out and park him down here. There's lots of other ways to do it. This is what I went with because it was quick and easy, and it's the first idea I thought of. But it worked out really well, actually. Make that move down, and then I do fix that cross load very intentionally, make sure that that doesn't cross load again. And ASAPs are easy. Again, I kept his on the entire time. I didn't need to move it, but we did have to pass a knot on the backup line, I believe. So I just swapped those around the knot. Just take his and put it below and ditch mine, whatever. And then we sail away. Add friction on your device. Technically, Spark doesn't need additional friction, but I wanted the control because there are 1,000 people watching me in this incredibly intense moment, and the control helps me stay smooth, and it's good patient care. So, rescue him and me, I guess, through the knots, and then we just go back down through that same trap door hole in the stage that we came up through initially, get him all the way to the ground, and that was the rescue. I have no idea what kind of time it took. We were well under time. Um, Fastest time counts for something in these competitions. It's usually not a big deal unless there's a tie, I think. Um, but it was fun. Again, super nervous. All right, so we get back down through the hole. You can see it right back here. There's the drop set. And all of the team members that have just been standing around doing nothing are trying to be useful now and help us clean up all our gear. I'm pretty sure that I had just snuck off around this corner to throw up. Because again, I was super nervous and didn't eat right, and flights and schedules, biological clocks, all of that. I was kind of messed up. After I did this though, I was fine. I got the evil out, and we moved on. Um, we get a little debrief from the judges, and cheers. On to the next one. So here's our debrief with the judges in the dark. This is a pretty cool photo, actually. I like this one a lot. But we have Patrice and I forget this guy's name. I'm sorry, brother. But Patrice is like a very important dude in Europe, especially with ITRA, International Technical Rescue Association, and in IRADA. But he's telling us everything I did wrong, and it was just me that did all the wrong things again because everyone here didn't have to do anything there. And that's not me whining or anything. That's just it could have been any one of these guys that went up there and did that rescue. Um, but everyone picked me, so there we are. And then Topley, who looks super distressed about whatever Patrice is saying right here, like he's saying, "Oh my God." He didn't say anything crazy like that. There was the obvious crossload, but he liked everything that we did up there for the most part. Um, there was some debate about using those specific sets of equipment that they gave us, like they gave us that 3 meter length of cord and then that quick draw. Apparently, we did it the way that they had envisioned it being done, and he appreciated that. And then what most of the judges said after every scenario that we did is like, it's crazy how calm you guys are, which is wild because I did not feel that way. But that's what they were saying. They were like, you guys treat each other with respect, and you're super calm and collected, and you communicate so well. I mean, obviously, Marciniak, he's the team leader. He is chirping at me, not chirping. He's talking to me constantly. He is communicating with me while I'm doing this rescue as I give him patient care updates because I am doing patient care that entire time. There was nothing wrong with Robert, but you're doing a rescue. Maintain good patient care. I'm checking in with him, making sure he's talking to me. He's moving his limbs because he's in suspension the entire time. At one point, I tell him to move his legs every chance I get, and he was being silly and dramatic. I think for my benefit to try to loosen me up a bit, which I appreciated. And he started wiggling everything quite a bit, and I got really mad at him because we were about to go through that trap door hole, and told him to stop. But whatever. He was trying to help, and he felt super helpless the entire time. He thought he was really charged up. He thought he was about to go be the hero and do this pick off, and it was going to be easy and everything. And then he ended up turning into a victim, which is kind of funny. And he was judging me the entire time we were up there. He kept like kind of whispering little tips and hints, which weren't unhelpful. Um, he was helpful. But it's got to be super nerve wracking from his perspective to sit there and watch one of your teammates have to do this thing, and you being right there and being able to touch everything that I could touch, couldn't do anything really to help. So, anyways, great scenario. So then we're on to the next one. And this is just kind of a funny picture of some Texans in Belgium. So Frank was our controller. Rick is kind of our team manager. He organized a lot of all the logistics for this trip, and he got to keep his cowboy hat on all week for the most part. He didn't have to wear a helmet, but Rick wasn't technically a team member despite having the uniform. Um, Frank was as our controller, which means he could carry gear. Max from GRIMP very generously um, helped us out with some wheels. We didn't have any wheels, and he let us borrow some from the local fire department that we then had to find tubes for and air up, which was an adventure in and of itself. Yeah, we're just headed to the next one, another hike. This is just kind of a silly picture. Um, it's got kind of an Abbey Road feel to it, really. Um, but yeah, there's kind of a, I'll use fancy language here, juxtaposition with the cowboy hat of this dude in Belgium. And then just some American firemen walking down the street in Belgium. But anyways, hopefully this format works out. I can be a lot more technical in my descriptions, even call out specific equipment as opposed to what I've been doing on Instagram only. And this maybe people have the patience to sit around for this, maybe they don't. I'm not sure that I care either way. I'm kind of doing it because there are a few people that I do care about that have asked me to do it, and I've been told that some people enjoy it. So you kind of get a little more in depth feel. I know Alex from the Rope Access channel does a really good job of breaking these down from kind of a third party objective perspective, which is also valuable. Um, I think I have, obviously I was in the competition and I can tell you exactly what I did and what went through my head in these. And that I think offers some merit as well. I don't have any great video from any of these because I didn't have a social media manager who was following me around just like we had at Rescue Great Day because he was my brother and I could tell him exactly what to do. The Scalotech team followed us around. The media team followed us around the entire competition. But sending, thousands of gigs of video footage across the Atlantic apparently is a pretty gnarly deal. So hopefully the photos do it for you anyway. And you can bear with me as I figure out how to edit these things. But I'll keep going. I'll do all the scenarios again. If 4 people watch them in the history of the videos lives on YouTube, then that's fine with me. I'm not putting just a whole ton of effort into these, just telling the story. So cheers, guys. Thanks.